Have roll call?
Mayor Truman.
Here.
Councilmember Colbert.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Bass. Councilmember Anderson. Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Here.
Councilmember Evans. Councilmember Stam.
Stand for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance, please.
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful to be able to gather here today. We're grateful for the wonderful place in which we live and the freedoms which we enjoy. We're grateful to be able to worship freely and to understand our relationship to Thee, and that Thou loves us and blesses us as we strive to be more like Thee. We're so grateful for this council, we're grateful for the city, for those who attend tonight. We pray for their guidance and wisdom and inspiration as they lead this city well. We pray that this meeting will be productive and fruitful, that it will provide a direction for the city, and that those that live in the city will be blessed with thy many blessings in thy safety. We have some blessing on our children in this neighborhood, in this community. They will be well taken care of, that they'll be educated, that they will become more like Thee in all that they do, and strive to be good and upstanding members of our community. We're grateful again to our Savior and all that He has done for us. We pray for these things in Jesus Christ.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated. Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the approval of the minutes of the April 15th meeting.
Motion to approve minutes, April 15th, 2025, regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the April 15th meeting. Any further discussions? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the presentations and proclamations. I have a law enforcement Memorial Day proclamation to make tonight. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week, and whereas members of the law enforcement agency of Valley Center plays a central role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Valley Center, Kansas, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duties to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the Police Department of Valley Center has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency, which unceasingly provides a vital public service, now therefore I, James Truman, Mayor of Valley Center, call upon the citizens of Valley Center, upon all patriotic, civil, educational organizations to observe the week of May 11th through the 17th, 2025 as Police Week, with the appropriate ceremonies in which all our people may join in commemorating police officers, past, present, through their faithfulness and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, and in doing so have established for themselves for preserving the rights and security of. I further call upon the citizens of Valley Center to observe May 15th, 2025 as Police Officers Memorial Day in honor to those police officers who through courageous deeds have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of duties. I hereby into my hands and cause the City of Valley Center to be affixed. Done at Valley Center, Kansas, this May 6, 2025. And we do appreciate our police department. Moving on to the city drought response presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Gary Jansen, the Director of Public Works and Utilities for the City of Wichita. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight as we continue to battle through what has now become a really historic drought for the region. Our communication and relationships with our wholesale partners is becoming more important by the day. So I've got quite a bit of information to share, so I'm going to try to be as efficient as I can. But I reached out to all of our wholesale customers as we start looking forward of where do we go in the future? How do we provide drought resilience above and beyond what we're doing now? I asked all of our wholesale customers if they had any interest in hearing this presentation that I seem to make a lot these days, and most of them took me up on it. So I really appreciate that, and I'm glad to be here. So I want to talk about, if I can make sure I understand this first, where we've been, the challenges we're facing, and what's coming next. So we have two primary raw water supply sources. Cheney Reservoir, which is the source of our current issues with this drought, I'll talk about more in just a moment. Cheney Reservoir was built in the early 1960s for the sole purpose of providing water to the Wichita region. Our Equispeds aquifer northwest of more west of here, northwest of Wichita, is our groundwater source. There are a lot of users of the Equispeds. Groundwater Management District 2 oversees that. Primarily ag, 50% of it is ag use. Wichita, Newton, and Hutchinson are the municipalities that get water from there. And then there's also some industry. So we are limited on our water rights there. We have all the water rights to Cheney Reservoir. What you see right in the middle was listed as WWW, if you can make that out, is Wichita Water Works, our new water treatment plant, which is going to be a big part of our drought resiliency going forward. I'll talk about soon. Equispeds is 92% full, which is pretty remarkable considering where we've been in this drought. That can be, a lot of that is owed to our efforts with the recharge within the Equispeds that I'll talk about here shortly. I always like to mention El Dorado as we've gone through this since we entered drought restrictions last fall. I get a lot of questions. I get a lot of input from the public, which is always good. One of the first questions asked is, why don't you get water from El Dorado? There are some water rights available. The state appropriates water rights. Most of it's spoken for, but there is some water available. When we get into the late stages of a regional drought, which will be affecting El Dorado too, there is not enough water. We would drain the reservoir in a matter of days. The cost for conveyance from El Dorado to Wichita just does not pay off, so it's not a viable resource. And we've looked at it over time because we don't want to leave anything off the table, but it's just not going to be viable for us. So Wichita is a regional water provider to 500,000 people. Almost 17% of the state's population receives water from Wichita. That includes 11 wholesale customers, 8 cities, and 3 rural water districts. I always like to mention the Connell Air Force Base too, and their importance to our community in the region. The reason why Derby and Valley Center are highlighted, as you all know, what your efforts are moving forward, the water treatment plant is a big deal for us. Because that provides an additional water supply that the region does not have now. So congratulations to you. I think that's great. Derby is doing the same thing. They have some water rights that are untapped. They will still need some level of water from Wichita, but they'll be able to supply themselves during higher demand months, which is when it's most critical to us. So that's great. Top picture is our current water treatment plant, 85 years old. We will be decommissioning that plant soon. As soon as the bottom picture, a new water treatment plant comes online. We're getting ever closer. Talk about that more in a moment. Our city council has made the decision to keep our current water plant for emergency purposes, which I think makes sense long term. We don't want to give up that ability. The new plant's got a lot of built-in redundancies. It's going to be stout. It's going to be built to last, but you never know what can happen, whether it's through nature or any type of natural catastrophe or types of events that could take that out of service. So talking about Cheney, where a real problem lies, water level at Cheney Reservoir is almost 8 feet below normal pool. It's been staying around there for a while. Actually, last November, we had record rains in November. Thank goodness for that. We were approaching almost 9 feet low, which was the lowest the reservoir has ever been since it was built in the early 1960s. So the November rains helped. The rains we've had recently helped some. As we get to the warmer days and the hotter temperatures of the summer, evaporation goes up considerably. Right now, these rains are mostly offsetting evaporation, but we'll take anything that we can get. We're supposed to get some rain, hopefully tonight, tomorrow, if everything else. So that put us in stage 2 watering restrictions starting last fall, which I'll talk about again in a moment. If any of you have been out to Cheney, in some areas it's pretty stark. If you've ever spent time out there, of the impact of this drought. The picture on the left is another picture showing, that doesn't look horrible. It's kind of hard to tell that that's 8 feet down there. But one of the questions I get asked a lot too is, why don't you dredge Cheney and make a bigger hole, right? Get more rain, you got more water to use. We have invested considerable funding and efforts over the years for watershed protection measures. Cheney Reservoir is fed by the North Fork of the Nenasko River. It's a 600,000 acre basin. We've done a lot to limit sedimentation into the reservoir. Kansas Water Office, the last study that they did showed that it was 5 to 7% sedimentation, which is pretty much unheard of for most reservoirs in Kansas. So the answer to that is dredging is a lose-lose situation. It's extremely expensive. You've got to find a place to take the material. We did a quick estimate, got to $100 million, and it got us an extra month and a half of water supply. So as you can imagine, there's not a real good return on that investment. So we've taken that off the table too. The picture to the right, there's only one silver lining in this drought, and it's that we've taken the opportunity to make repairs to the dam. So the soil cement dam along the south face of Cheney Reservoir is almost 2 miles long. We haven't been able to make repairs for almost 20 years. We didn't want to lower the reservoir to do it. We had the plans ready, the permit ready, the funding in place in case this opportunity ever came along, so we jumped on it. Repairs are moving along. If by chance we get a lot of rain and the reservoir starts to come back up, we have a separation clause in the contract because we're not going to lower the reservoir to finish the repairs. We'll come back and do it later. We have been working with the state. A lot of what we've done has been about education, especially of the public and even our elected officials at the local and the state level. The 3 counties that are shown as an emergency under the governor's drought declaration are Reno, Harvey, and Sedgwick County because of the impact of Cheney Reservoir. This did not look like this last fall until we started working with the Kansas Water Office and the governor's office. And this is important that at the state level too, it recognizes the seriousness and the impact of what we're seeing in this area, especially if future funding might be a possibility. So coming off of the last major drought we had in the area in 2013, we developed a 4-stage drought response plan that the Wichita City Council put into law, into ordinance by code at that time. This 4-stage drought response plan is meant to carry us through potentially 8 years of drought, which sounds really bad because it is. It's meant to help us get through a literal Dust Bowl type drought over that course of that time. It starts to get more painful as you get further into, but we're in unprecedented times. I've been with the city for over 30 years and we've never had drought restrictions in all the time that I've been there. So stage 1 was activated. All of these stages are based on the 12-month average conservation pool of Cheney Reservoir. It's calculated amounts based on our needs of the region, projected demands, evaporations, all the things I talked about, and it's meant to extend our public water supply over that period of time. It won't stabilize Cheney. It will help us keep our communities moving forward, but it gets more painful as we go along. Stage 1 was activated in early 2023. What that calls for is an internal conservation plan for the city of Wichita. We're a large organization. We have a lot of facilities, a lot of people, a lot of playing fields. We have a very in-depth and comprehensive plan that can be found on our website. The city of Wichita has done a lot of things to change mowing habits, grass types, irrigation, timing of how we did that. We've been watering once a week for over 1.5 years now. Fire department washes trucks less. Golf courses don't wash the golf carts at all. Anything that we can do to help save water has been a big deal. We also have a rebate program that applies to water saving devices that's been very successful. We went into stage 2 last August based on the level of the conservation pool, the 12-month average getting below 70%. We remain in stage 2. That limits watering to 1 day a week. As you are aware, these restrictions apply to all of our wholesale customers by contract. So all the 8 communities I listed, including Valley Center, and the 3 rural water districts, they have provided us conservation plans and showing that they're going to do the same thing, which they have. We didn't know what to expect. I got to tell you this, never having been in this situation, we had gone through July, tremendous water use, hot summer. We hope to reverse course and just see a reduction in consumption after this. Our goal was to save 10%. So when that went into effect August 5th, the very first week, we saw a 35% reduction in consumption, which was remarkable. Everybody got on board. Most everybody got on board. I heard from plenty of people who wanted nothing to do with it. But overall, the community showed, wholesale customers did too. This was across the board. I've got numbers that show very consistently everybody in the region was saving water. So it's working. It's doing what it's supposed to do. There's no watering during the daytime. There's no watering on the weekends. This does come with penalties and fines, and that's a challenge for us. As big as our organization, as community is, I don't have the staffing resources to go out and actively look for people who are violating. So we've had our construction inspectors or housing inspectors keeping an eye out. We ask the public to report violations if they can, and we're getting there. We've already had some fines levied this year, and hopefully people are willing to continue to help. But that's really a critical part of this is to keep the message out there, and that's part of the reason why I'm here tonight and talking to a lot of others. I'll hit real quick on stage 3. Right now, our focus is to stay out of stage 3. We are projecting stage 3 early next year if things don't change. The challenge with that is that requires normal precipitation for the rest of this year. If we get a dry spring and summer, we could see stage 3 sneak up on us sooner. Stage 3 eliminates all outdoor water. This is for all residential, all of our customers, residential, commercial, it doesn't matter. It eliminates outdoor watering. We will start impacting businesses at that point in time. There's no doubt in my mind. So the last thing we want to do, this drought response plan was developed to lessen the impact of businesses that focus on water. Once you have to eliminate outdoor watering, even people that mow grass are probably going to be challenged to stay in business. So our goal is to stay out of stage 3. That's why we're encouraging everybody to do everything that you can. Stage 4 is the late stages. I usually don't even talk about it. What it does is it mandates that businesses have to show the savings in their water consumption for their business. How we would ever go about doing that, I have no idea. It makes sense theoretically, but let's hope that we never get to that point. For Wichita, I'll just show this real quick. Everybody's got their own deal. The Valley Center is different. We broke the city into quadrants. Andover are direct customers of ours, so that's shown too. So everybody's done their thing their own way. I think Valley Center and Derby are similar, that they've got, half the community on different days, whatever. We said, do what you need to do, just make sure it's once a day watering and it's working. I mentioned outreach and education. We have a website, SaveWichitaWater.com. It's part of our website. Tons of information on it. It's got a dashboard for Cheney so that everybody can see what the Cheney level looks like. That's front and center. We have developed some great relationships with K-State and Sedgwick County Extension Office about the best way to take care of your yard, how to do it with less watering. I'm not the landscape expert in the room, but I can tell you there's people in Wichita that prior to this were watering their lawn 7 days a week and some days twice a day. It creates a weak root system. It's not good for the yard anyway. Whether we're in a drought or not, we're trying to encourage people to change how they do things going forward, change the culture, get away from those same habits so that we can look at conservation for the future. A lot of great stuff on here. If anybody ever wants to look at that, it applies to everybody across the region, all our wholesale customers. So I want to talk about what we're doing going forward. I get a lot of questions from people saying, well, what are you doing? Are you just sitting around and waiting for it to rain? We are waiting for it to rain, but we're not just sitting around. So I talked about our Equus Beds aquifer. So we have invested hundreds of millions of dollars over the years in our aquifer storage and recovery project to recharge the aquifer. that part in the middle is really hard to see, but I'll explain to you what you're looking at. On the left is the Little Arkansas River, just not too far upstream from here and to the west. We capture water when it's high. We treat it and we inject it back into the aquifer. That's why it's 92% full. We do that through several means, including injection wells and recharge basins. The picture on the right, kind of hard to tell what that is, but that's a recharge basin. It's a big area that we would pump treated water into, and it migrates its way down into the aquifer. It's been proven to find the hard to reach spots a lot better and to keep the aquifer as full as we can. What that does is a couple of things. We actually build up credits to add to our appropriated rights over time. So if we ever get deep into the drought as we are now, we could actually use additional water some years, and we may very well have to consider banking those this year. We'll see how it goes. This has been a big deal. If it wasn't for what we've done with ASR, this aquifer would be in much worse shape, and we'd be in an even worse situation than we are. Our new water treatment plant, I'll give you some quick details on this in a minute, but what this treatment plant does as much as anything, it allows more flexibility in the type of water we can treat. Our current water treatment plant, based on the technologies from when it was built and when it's been upgraded, is limited on the amount of groundwater it can treat for a variety of reasons. This plant, when it's operational, in theory, could treat 100% groundwater. Not that we would have enough water to meet our demands, but it gives us so much more flexibility when you've got the aquifer in much better shape. If Cheney's still struggling, we can now treat more groundwater and take a lot of the stress off of what we're doing now. We're going through performance testing with this plant right now. It's a little bit slower than we had hoped. I expect that we'll take possession of this plant in the next 60 to 90 days. We're still going to have to complete some testing at that point. Sometime before the end of the year, we expect this plant to be fully operational and putting water into the system. The picture on the left is the overall campus, about 20 acres. The picture on the upper right is the filter building, that big football-sized building, at least for those who can see here, right in the middle. That's height galleries, kind of give you some context of how big this thing is. And then our administration building at the bottom right. State-of-the-art facility, $600 million projects, largest infrastructure project in our history. Really proud of where we're at, ready to bring that online. This is kind of hard to see what this is, but I'm going to explain to you what this is real quick. So this is where we're going, really focusing on for the future, is what we do with recycling and reuse. Basically, completing the loop of the water that we use in our system. The green boxes, this is a map of Wichita, believe it or not, it's kind of hard to tell. The green boxes are all of our wastewater facilities, all in. We've got about 30 million gallons per day of treated wastewater that goes to our rivers and creeks that we have the rights to. But we send it out now, and that's worked for a long time. One of the things that we're already doing, at the bottom right, you see that purple box that says Spirit Recycle. Since 2015, we have been sending 1 million gallons a day of treated effluent wastewater to Spirit to offset their potable use. Great for conservation. It does a lot for them, for their production processes, for the cooling towers. We're getting ready to undertake a study, a very robust study. We've got a consultant selected. City Council, our City Council next Tuesday night is going to approve that contract. We're going to move forward with looking at additional industrial reuse opportunities. We've got a lot of businesses in Wichita that could utilize that same type of treated water, what we would call it industrial reuse. And so we're excited about that to see where we can get. One of the things that we've done that's really innovative in the meantime is use of some other resources, especially to help some of our businesses as we continue through this drought. When I talk about landscapers. So I'll tell you what you're looking at here. At the top is Pawnee. At the kind of cutting across the bottom left is York River. This is at Herman Hill Park. If you happen to be familiar with that, where that's at in Wichita. What you see in the middle of this is what we call our water center. For many, many years now, we've been treating contaminated groundwater under the core of the city, under Old Town and what we call our North Industrial Corridor. We had an agreement with the EPA a long time ago to take on treatment of that water. Otherwise, they were going to declare the area a Superfund site, and it would have stifled development forever. It's been tremendous for us, and we were able to work out funding. The bottom line is what happens here. The purple is a lot of time is associated with reuse. This has been an educational center for a lot of years. It's a treatment facility. We treat 1 million gallons a day of water that goes right there into the river. We have now set up a system to capture that. It's kind of hard to see. That bottom right picture is actually a fire hydrant in the middle of those posts. It's also painted purple. We are now offering that water for free to all contractors who can use it. It started around April 1st. The information is available on our website. We've got folks that are taking advantage of it now, especially those who have water trucks, because there's restrictions even for some businesses on the amount of potable water that they can use for landscaping purposes. So we're going to keep this going as long as the drought persists. We're trying to get the word out. But this just kind of gives you some idea of the things that we want to look to do in the future that really help with conservation. I mentioned the spirit reuse. In this lighting, it's a little bit hard to see. I-135 kind of cuts through the middle. You can tell what the Big Arc River is. Top left, there's a yellow dot. That is our main wastewater treatment plant that provides treatment for the biggest majority of our sewer system in Wichita. The blue line is the routing of that to Spirit. The picture on the right is our pump station. Just to give you some idea what I talked about, that 1 million gallons a day that goes to Spirit. We will expand this effort to look to do the same for other industries from all of those facilities that you saw in green that we've got spread out across the community. This is the most exciting part of this of where we want to go. I'll explain what the picture on the left looks. I think most people kind of understand how the water cycle works, but we have found it's important to show. At the top of this picture, you can't really see it. It shows Cheney Reservoir and the Equus beds. Going through a treatment plant, being distributed to the system, to homes, to residential homes, to commercial businesses. Some of that water finds its way out of those facilities, out of those places. The bottom is the wastewater treatment facility. That gets treated, and then you can see a pipe discharging that water to the river. Picture on the right is exactly what's happening at our main water treatment plant. That's 25 million gallons a day going to the Ark River, that we have the rights to that water. We want to capture that. Right now, there is not regulations in place in the state of Kansas that allow that for a variety of reasons. That's one of the first things we're going to work on. We want to lead the way for the state of Kansas. There's regulations in California, Colorado, Texas. There's several projects in Texas that are taking off for what we call direct potable reuse. So this really could be a deal breaker for us in the future, and something we want to push hard on. What you're looking at here, I won't go into a lot of detail. On the left would be the wastewater treatment plant. We capture that water that's coming out of there. We run it through some advanced treatment processes to purify it, and we send it directly to the system. So I'll give you some context of what this looks like. Our average demand throughout the course of any year prior to the drought is 50 million gallons a day, right? We pump, treat, and gets used. You can imagine if we could capture and deliver to ourselves 25 million gallons a day, half of that demand, what that could do for the future. I'm convinced if we can get to that point, we're going to do everything we can to get to that point. We'll never talk about drought restrictions again. And this isn't just so people can water their grass. This is so that our communities continue to grow, so that we can bring businesses to the Wichita region, and so that we can look as far as we can into the future for drought resiliency. This process creates an additional water supply for the future, and again, we want to lead the way for Kansas. A couple last quick things, and I'll be done. I really do appreciate your time. We're looking at our own landscape details, working with Wichita Area Builders Association. I've got a presentation to the Realtors Association soon. I'm going to talk to them about it. As you know, in most communities, I have a fescue yard. All new developments in Wichita are fescue, and there's a lot of them going in. It takes a lot of water, right? We're trying to challenge the development communities to maybe take a step back and not always look to default to fescue. If you live in a neighborhood that has an HOA and has covenants, they even tell you better keep it green, right? That's been one of our challenges with these drought restrictions. Quick side note on that. It was a big deal we had to deal with when we put in the restrictions. So HOA covenants do not take precedence over local ordinance, and we had to make sure that word got out so that people understood they had to follow what the ordinance says. Anyway, we're working on a lot of things related to other issues. That bottom picture, a lot of new developments have built-in water supply, more or less. My brother lives in a large planned development in Jacksonville, Florida. By law in Jacksonville, Florida, you cannot have an irrigation system that is not reused. It has to be recycled or reclaimed water from water on site. Great deal. Things like that take time, but we want to start looking at that because we have to for the future. I don't think anybody would have thought back in January of 2023 we'd still be in the situation that we're in. We're looking to see what other communities are doing. Oklahoma City, for some years now, because of drought and some water supply issues, they have gone to alternate day watering. Even side of, this is a little pretty basic, even side of the street waters on the even days, odd side on the odd days. This would make a huge difference in the future, I'm convinced, and have started talking to our city manager and city council members that this is something we need to look at in Wichita going forward and not allow watering 7 days a week. These are the types of things that we need to keep working on. So a lot of good stuff happening. We're going to push really hard on this whole notion of reuse. I've got meetings set up with KDHE and the Department of Agriculture week after next already to go to Topeka and start talking to them about how we kick this off. So exciting times for us on that part. In the meantime, we've got to get it to rain. So whatever you can do to help with that, we appreciate it. That's all I got.
Any questions?
Thank you again for your time. I really do appreciate it.
On the purple pipe installation for future businesses to use, who pays for that? Does the city pay for the pipe install, or is it a 50-50 deal, or how does that work?
That is part of what we're going to work through of what makes the most sense strategically going forward. So Spirit paid for the installation of the pipe. However, they also received this water at a considerably lesser price than they would for potable, because there's got to be a trade-off somewhere for that value. That is the best business model for the city under our rate structure to be able to make those work. But that is a big part. A great question. I'm glad you asked. That's a big part of our analysis that's getting ready to start going forward, is to figure out the best model for that to happen. Because we can all agree. I had a request just recently from Teradyne Golf Course. They're 2 miles north of our 4 Mile Creek treatment plant. They would like to get reuse water. It's $4 million to get it there. We can't figure out how we can find $4 million to get it there just yet and save a considerable amount of water. So that's all part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, update on the Main Street project.
Good evening. Yep, Meridian. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Christy Skaggs with PEC. I don't have a presentation or anything. I figure I'd just give you a quick update. So the main piece of work still left is the intersection at 69th and Meridian. They are pouring concrete this week. They've started pretty much all the curbs in. The actual center piece of the roundabout is going in right now. That's really the last big thing we have. So the current schedule, we show substantial completion in early-ish July. That includes all seeding, all cleanup. That's them being completely done with the project. They currently show the road being open about a week or so before that. And other than the roundabout, that's really what we have left. Lighting was delivered to the intersection earlier this week. It's not up yet, but that looks like it's in place and ready to go. Really nothing, not any major items left on Meridian itself. It's just the roundabout. And as you know, the north piece of the project, Main to 5th, has been complete for some time. There's just a few cleanup items related to the lighting and the poles. We are almost at the end of it. Wrapping up should be done shortly. Are there any questions?
Yeah. So you said that the intersection will be open before they're completely done. Any chance that's going to be by 4th of July,
The current schedule is yes, it will be open before
Okay.
the 4th of July.
assuming no?
I'm hoping for no rain, major rain events. Sorry.
Sorry, Gary.
Now, if Gary gets his way and it starts raining a bunch, obviously,
Right, okay.
there will be some delays, but
It'll be a shorter trip for you to get to work too if it gets open. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Robert,
Sidewalks and driveways. Do we have all the sidewalks and driveways in for our residents?
they were finished pouring, I believe, next week. So I don't believe they're all in yet. They are wrapping it up. And that should be done before the intersection will be open.
Having a lot of citizens that are concerned about that this is just lagging on and not getting those completed earlier. So,
Mhm.
thank you.
any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the public forum. Due to our several addressments to the council, I want to limit everybody to at least 3 minutes. I'll keep the timer right here. So is there anybody here from the public that'd like to address the council on anything that's not on the agenda? I have one here. Toby?
Good evening. I'm Toby Meadows. Some of you know me, some of you may not know me. I was on zoning for many years. I run Wagon Tail Ranch, 33-acre facility on Hoover and 69th Street. I'd like to go over a couple things real quick. One of the first things I'd like to talk about is the detour signs that go into Valley Center concerning our roundabout. They're very hard to understand. Anybody that is from this area, we know this area. We know how to get to where we're going. Those, as well as our senior citizens, do not. If you ever driven up north on Meridian past 53rd Street, the only thing that lets you know that something's coming is a sign on the right-hand side where the sidewalk is. It says detour, road closed. You do not even pay attention to it. You're going straight. You get to 61st Street, and it says no through traffic. People have no idea where they're going. That's a confusion. Essentially, the signs or Valley Central wants everybody to turn around, go to 53rd, go east on 53rd to Broadway and north. If you actually go to the intersection of 69th and Broadway and try to go west on 69th Street, those detour signs tell you to go south on Broadway. So it's very confusing. I know that you guys want the detour to go 53rd to Broadway all the way to 77th. It does not. Nobody knows how to get there. We have a business on our facility that requires timed appointments. I had a lady the other day that took 45 minutes to get there because she was confused. She doesn't know how to use Google Maps or Apple Maps. Extremely confused because she doesn't know where she's going. So that's one major issue that needs to be fixed. It's messing up the road on 61st Street. People don't know where to go. They're using that as a detour. We have our signs up on those roads because it's for us. I know that we've gone back and forth. I know with Brent, I've gone back and forth with him. He actually told me that I'm not in Valley Center, so I should not have nothing to do with that. We should have nothing to do with Valley Center. I want to bring to his attention that we've donated $10,000 just recently between the Library of Valley Center, the fire and the police department of Valley Center, and the Next Step program. So for us not being involved in Valley Center, we do donate a lot, and we have a lot to do it. Also, how I want to go into KDOT says that they do not manage the signs on the detour. That's actually up to Valley Center. Linda from KDOT told us herself that they are paying for the project, but they do not manage the signs. That is up to the city of Valley Center. I was told that was not what we were told. I'd also like to go into one thing I want to really go into is the whole idea that we do not, that's kind of frustrated us a lot, is we do a lot for the city. And what's frustrated us is getting our people and clientele out to us. It's very confusing with the signs like I've gone into. But we are also there for a place for dogs to go. I know for the 07 Barton Solvents explosion, all dogs brought to us. Tornadoes.
Your time's up, sir.
But I wanted to kind of go into that to show our frustrations. But I do want to bring up one thing. I know is our sign on 69th and Meridian. We were told that we could put it back up, and I do appreciate the council for allowing us to do that. But we want to work in conjunction with Pearson. Pearson has not responded. I know Valley Center has said that Pearson was responsible for it because they destroyed our sign, and we have to have the whole thing replaced. That has not been done yet. We want to work in conjunction with that to get our sign put back up before the roundabout opens. So I don't know if that's something that City Council, somebody can get back with me on. But, at running a small business as we are, we're extremely frustrated about what's going on right now, especially with the detour and going back and forth with dealing with these detours that's not appropriately moving people through Valley Center correctly. So that's my frustration. But I will tell you that I was very disappointed. I came to Brent Clark. Me and him had a back and forth, and he told me we had nothing to do with Valley Center, which I thought was very, very rude. I'm a gay minority running a very successful business that is struggling right now because of this detour that you guys are putting in front of us. It's not working. It really is not working, and it is horribly, horribly directing people around Valley Center. So I would like to see what we can do to get that fixed, to help bring people out to our facility and to not be told that we have nothing to do with Valley Center when that's ridiculous. Of everything we've done and the funding we've helped with organizations in Valley Center, that's completely ridiculous. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm going to close the public hearing, a public forum, and move on to appointments, which we have none. Old business, we have none. So moving on to Harvest Place, Phase 1.
Good evening, everybody. Anthony Krejci with SEH. So the first supplemental agreement that's on the agenda tonight is for Harvest Place, which is off of 93rd and Meridian. It is to design the extension of Sunflower Drive and replat of lots of the Harvest Place edition that are actually currently designed. It just did. So this would add the paving and the turn lane required to get the connection up to 93rd right there across from the street. For a total, I think it's $19,200 on that one.
Any questions?
Any reason why this was not included in the original plan?
Yep, so it was talked about at the time in the original platting effort. And since then, we've had a little bit of a developer swap. Originally, we had one developer that did not think that they needed that connection to 93rd, and now we have one that does. So we're just kind of on a recourse to provide that connection.
So we're gonna have remind me, because like we've got so much going on, that we're gonna have a entrance from Meridian and entrance from 93rd, and then Emporia is gonna go up from the south. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
That took you a long time to be able to do that.
I know, longer than normal. Feels like I'm at a planning and zoning meeting. All right. And so this is kind of at the request of the new developer. If you look at the plat, a reminder that this is all put on specials. And so the city has 0% as far as the financial obligation towards this side of construction. And so Emporia, yes, but Emporia will be on the far east side. There's actually single family homes in between the commercial and where Emporia is. And so Emporia is on the far east side, and then you have residential single family homes, and then you have the commercial along Meridian. And so then this will allow for a right turn right after you turn right onto 93rd from Meridian. And then you'll be able to turn and head south right into the commercial side of the businesses versus having to go through the residential on Emporia and then coming back through the residential single-family homes to gain access to the businesses along Meridian. Otherwise, the businesses would only have one entrance off of Meridian, and that would be Change Avenue. And so Change would be the only actual entrance off of Meridian. So this would allow for one, basically right off of Meridian, the first right on 93rd Street, off of Meridian on the corner. So right across from the south entrance to the high school, this will be straight across the street from that, and so it lines up. So then there's there's not an offset of people trying to turn left or right. So this will be directly south of the south entrance on the high school.
Motion to approve supplemental agreement with SEH for Harvest Place Phase 1 improvements in the amount not to exceed $19,200.00 and authorize mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Harvest Place Phase 1 supplement agreement. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to Trails End Phase 1 improvements supplement agreement.
Yep, so this is the second one of the evening. So this is for the Trails End Phase 1 improvements, the agreement that's already in place. Throughout design, we determined through some iterations and review that we needed to extend the water main, which was not originally planned in the prelim plat discussions, from Wagon Wheel Street to 5th to provide a loop. This is also contingent on the construction that's going to be going on along Seneca at the same time with that water main, which this kind of required that looping all the way up to 5th so that there wouldn't be any drop in service. And then additionally, providing a roadway plan profile for Tanner Trail to add a turn lane into that school, the elementary school there, to promote a little bit of safety both ways, east and west bound. That was for 17,300.
Any questions or comments?
Going to motion to approve the supplemental agreement with SEH for Trails End Phase 1 improvements in the amount not to exceed $17,300 and authorize the mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Trails End Phase 1 improvement supplemental. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to resolution 780-25.
Mayor, council members, Garth Herman with Gilmore Bell, the city's bond council. The resolution you have before you right now is the first of 4 resolutions that all relate to the same residential subdivision. The one right here relates to the drainage improvements to serve Trails in Phase 2. Following this drainage improvements, there will also be one for paving improvements, third one for sanitary sewer improvements, and then the fourth one will be for water improvements. All 4 of these projects are at the request of the property owners. So the city has received signed petitions for those 4 projects that have been signed by 100% of the property owners requesting that the city make these 4 improvements at the estimated cost set forth in that petition, which have been reflected in the resolutions as well. Assuming that the city moves forward with the construction of these improvements, then once the final costs are known and the construction has been completed, then the city, working with our group, will go through the process to formally especially assess the costs of those projects back against the benefited properties, once again, as requested in that petition and resolution for each of these 4 projects. So with that being said, I will pause to see if there are any questions specifically on the drainage improvement, which is the first one, or if there are any questions on the following 3 improvements for the Trails and Phase 2 projects as well.
You alluded to it, but these all four get put into special assessment taxes for the individual properties. Okay. And this is just on the north end of the pond, for lack of a better term. Is that accurate? Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve resolution 780-25, authorizing construction and financing drainage improvement to the Trails End Phase 2 subdivision.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve resolution 780-25, Trails in Phase 2, drainage petition. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to resolution 781-25, Trails in Phase 2 paving.
This is the second of those 4 projects. This relates to the pavement improvements that the request of the property owners to serve trails in phase 2.
Yeah, question for Mr. Clark. You're gonna need your mouse though. Save you a few steps. The big block to the right there.
Apologize about that. I thought that I had a map here.
Yeah, that's all right. The map would have been good on the other one too. So that block where your mouse is, that's commercial zone, correct?
Yes.
And then to the south of that is the school.
Correct.
Are all those properties assessed the special assessments?
And so, yes. And so right here, if you kind of look in between these lots, these 4 commercial lots. So where the temporary construction access for Hutton, that's right, generally in this area here. And then their staged areas actually on the commercial lots. And then the foundations are being poured for the elementary school, which is on the southern lot here. And so if you recall, part of the negotiations with the school district is that the city would take on the special assessments around the school property that we agreed to. The commercial lot will be assessed their portion of Chisholm Trail, and then it will evenly be distributed, like it normally is when it comes to specials on the Trails End subdivision. Now there are portions of Chisholm Trail that are then spread along the lots to the west, as well as the main water line to some of those lots for future phases as well. If you recall, the TIF district itself, the main reason it was for grading. So the mass grading project, which is a separate TIF project for the grading of this ground, is separate. And then we'll get to that in the later agenda item as part of the transfer of property now and what have you in Trails End. And so yes, the specials petitions on these lots are very unique when it comes to how the specials are distributed, since there is TIF associated on these residential lots. And so the overall TIF district helps pay, of course, for the incremental increase, pays for the retention basin, all the dirt work that was put in place to then bring this area out of the floodplain. It includes Seneca Street, and then also includes the acquisition that the city had for property, and then also the park that will be between the residential and the school area there, the 62-acre park. So, Garth, did you want to add any more to that? Oh, yeah.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve resolution 781-25, authorizing construction and financing paving improvement to the Trails End Phase 2 subdivision.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution 781-25. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to resolution 782-25, Phase 2 water petition.
This is the third project related to the water for those. That's
Make a motion to approve resolution 782-25, authorizing construction and financing water improvement to the Trails End Phase 2 subdivision.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution 82-25, Trails in Phase 2 water petition. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to resolution 784-25. 783-25, excuse me. Trails in Phase 2 sewer petition.
Motion to approve resolution 783-25, authorizes construction and financing sewer improvement to Trails in Phase 2 subdivision.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution 783-25, Trails in Phase 2 sewer petition. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, moving on to resolution 784-25, update the TFI development agreement.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. As I mentioned earlier, Garth Herman with Gilmore Bell, City's Bond Council. This resolution relates to two amendments to development agreements that, one new agreement and one amendment to an existing development agreement that the city's entered into. So a little bit of background on this. So this relates to the TIF district, that taxing and pertinence district, that is in the area where those trail end Phase 2 projects that we just authorized. This, as I mentioned, this relates to two separate development agreements that come before the city. Our firm, working with city staff and working with developers council, we've been able to put together these two agreements. Briefly, what the two agreements do is one agreement is an amendment to the existing development agreement that the city has with IHD Development. They were the original development company back when the TIF district was created for the development of that entire parcel that is up there within the TIF district. This is the second amendment to that original agreement. The first amendment, which was done about a year and a half ago, related to an IHD actually transferred some of those properties down the south side to another development company. As part of that transfer, the first amendment was entered into that transferred some of the duties and responsibilities of IHD to that new developer for the south side. So now we're coming in and we're doing something very similar with this second amendment to that same agreement. So IHD once again is transferring ownership of some of those properties to a new entity. And so as part of that transfer, that original agreement with IHD is going to be very similarly to how it was amended last time, where we transferred some of the rights and duties that IHD owed to the city to the new developer. The amendment, therefore, is necessary to basically say IHD is no longer responsible for those parts that are being transferred. So that's the second amendment. The other agreement that this resolution authorizes the city to enter into is the actual development agreement between the city and that new developer, Morning Capital. They are going to be the ones responsible for helping to develop single-family housing on the north side of that tract. And so that agreement between the city and Hornet is actually where Hornet agrees to accept those responsibilities that are being transferred to it from IHD. Those responsibilities generally relate to project milestones, types of projects that they're going to actually construct, when that construction is anticipated to occur and be completed. It will also have Hornet take on the responsibility of part of the shortfall letters of credit that the city requires as part of the TIF district and as part of these projects. It will also allow for those property owners and those new houses being built to be able to take advantage of and work with the city on some of your special assessment policies that you have in place and benefits that those property owners can get from those. Those are kind of the summary of what those two agreements are. If adopted, this resolution would authorize the city to enter into both of those agreements, authorize the city manager and the mayor to sign those, with some ministerial changes as may be necessary in order to conform those documents to the desires of those parties. So with that being said, I'll pause for any questions that you have.
Questions or comments?
So just for clarification, this Hornet Capital, is that what you said?
Yes.
They're going to take care of the north side of the ditch, the pond, retention pond, or is it a different support? Can you pull up the map that's page 695? There we go. That section. Okay. That.
Usually the microphone picks me up loud enough. And so this amendment will include the residential, all the single-family homes on the west side of Chisholm Trail Drive, which is that new north-south road. And so it's all the single-family residential homes located to the north of the regional detention basin. The area to the south, Prairie Lakes is still that was the first amendment, and that was with Nottingham LLC or whichever. But so we have three developers that will now have three separate letters of credit that are evenly distributed based upon the amount of ground that they own and have control over when it comes to the overall TIF district. So of course, making sure that the city has the total TIF 35% obligation in the form of a letter of credit. This is just re-obligating that into three different parties versus two separate parties that we have now. Because of course we're going to have a letter of credit on ourselves on the ground. So just all the residential and the new single-family homes on the north side of the detention basin, right south of Fifth Avenue. Now, IHD will continue to have a letter of credit. Theirs will be revised and reduced down, and it will be just for the commercial lot itself, for the TIF letter of credit.
Which is the Seneca and Fifth right there?
Yes. Yeah, which is those lots located.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any motion to approve?
Move to approve Resolution 784-25, authorizing the execution of a development agreement between the City of Valley Center and Hornet Capital LLC, and authorizing the execution and delivery of a development agreement amendment number 2 between the City of Valley Center and IHD, Prairie Lakes LLC.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution 784-25. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signal by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to item H, ordinance 1424-25, rezone of Birch.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a little bit of background on this item. This has come to you before. Originally, the applicant was seeking R3 for this lot, which was denied by Council February 4th. He reapplied for R2, and that went through Planning and Zoning a couple weeks ago, and did come with a favorable. Comes to you with a favorable recommendation from Planning and Zoning. This does rezone the lot, or is proposing to rezone the lot from R1B to R2, which allows a duplex to be built on the property. If you look at the surrounding property map, which you go one more page, please. you go. The subject property is on the left side. It's the largest property on Birch Street, the largest frontage. To the east block, there is an R3 currently multifamily. And then if you go a little bit further down on the same map, there you go. The next block down, there is R2 lots with 2 duplexes. And then there's another R3 at Ashton First. It's a quadplex. And then another one over at First and Park, which has 8 units, I believe. So the rezone request is not abnormal for the neighborhood because there are other spot zones. R1B and R2 essentially have the same building setbacks. So the structure built on this property would follow similar setbacks, similar height requirement, or actually same height requirements as the neighboring properties. And there are no design restrictions. I know in some of the comments that we received, they mentioned there's like the duplex block down. The neighbors like the looks of it. The zoning doesn't take into account what the building's gonna look like. We're just looking at, can this property have a duplex on it? We did publish notice before the planning and zoning hearing in the Ark Valley News, and we did mail letters to all the surrounding property owners within 200 feet. I did, prior to the planning and zoning hearing, receive one call from a neighbor in opposition. That same neighbor, as well as 3 others, did speak at planning and zoning in opposition of this item. And again, just to reiterate, it was approved for recommendation to the city council to approve the rezone to R2. And the applicant is here this evening. If you'd like to hear from him, or if he has an agent for him to speak as well. And stand for any questions. Otherwise, I'd recommend approval of first reading.
We have 5 public comments. We'll hear from them first. Like I said, 3 minutes. You'll hear my buzzer go off, so give you a little more closing if you're in the middle of something, but I'd like to keep it to 3 minutes. Kit, Noah?
Good evening. My family owns 329 North Birch, directly across from the proposed site here. We believe that this is just a rehash, a repackaging of the R3. There's still going to be 4 units because they want to, if they get an R2, they want to split the lot and have 2 duplexes side by side. It will still be 4 units. We'll still have all the same issues that we had with the R3. The 2 structures just won't be connected. There'll be 6 feet between them. We'll still be having parking problems, crowding, birch curves at that point there. For reference, my family's lot is 120 feet wide. Theirs is 150, just 30 feet difference. And it's going to be a tight fit. But I talked to Jordan Noon at some point, and he, I asked him why this couldn't just be a couple of single-family homes that fit in better with the neighborhood. And he was just adamant that no, these were going to be 2 duplexes. That we could choose either 2 duplexes or 3 houses, because they claim that they're 50-foot wide lots, that there's 3 lots that they can go back and use these, I don't know if you all got these picture here. The house to the south of the 328 project, that's a 50-foot lot. That house was built in 1900, and the southern boundary of that lot is right against the house. And then you can see there's not much room there. The other precedent they want to use is a 40-foot lot. So the current code is 60 feet wide, and we would like, we don't believe they can put 3 houses there. We believe that they're going to have possibly at least 2 cars per family, possibly 3. Some families might have 4 cars. They have this kind of odd driveway configuration where it's sort of maybe a little larger than a single wide drive, and that fans out to a parking pad in front of on each side.
That was your 3 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Please deny it. Okay. We'd like you to deny it, and maybe we can get some single family homes in there. Thank you.
Yeah. Tyler, I can't read the last name. I just can't read it. State your name and address, please.
Tyler Shaw, 361 North Birch. After their package, there's not a lot to say. I mean, here we are again on the same conflict. These are 1101 lots, 1101 neighborhood, established, built, and construction for single dwelling families. I mean, we're right here again. None of these should have been built. Every time you guys let these investors come in and stack these houses upon our neighborhoods in our inner city, all it does is hurt your active community members. I mean, not stating the obvious of traffic, vehicles, and everything like that. I mean, it also does hurt our hospitals. I mean, they're coming in making money off of it while we're losing money in our equity of our houses. I mean, our houses are going to go down. The taxes are going down. I mean, these neighborhoods were construction for all these multifamily houses being stacked in front of it. I mean, I'm just asking you guys to be part of the resolution to keep our neighborhoods how they are. I mean, they're constructed, they've been around, but all of a sudden, hey, let's throw more, money-hungry, greedy people out here to see if they can make some money off our property side. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, just keep it the way it is. I mean, there's growth all around the city. We just went through all the developments. There's investment properties everywhere. Why stack them in the middle of our town? This is also, everybody's. So let's stop the nonsense. Let them build outside of it and keep our next city the way it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lee Calvert. State your name and address too, please.
Lee Calvert. I live at 3rd and Ash, 339 North Ash. This property will be catty corner to my backyard. I mean, you can see the property lines there. Pretty much, he's going after 4 units again. Eventually, if this goes through, he will go and try to divide that in 2, and it will still split. He'll have 2 duplexes. Split that property line in 2 and build 2 single-family homes and keep our neighborhood like it was. That's all we ask. I said last time I was here, I moved here over 20 years ago. I lived in Park City. My kids went to Valley Center schools. And I said, I'm just going to move here. I like to live like a small town feel. And we're losing. Thank you. I hope you deny it.
Thank you. Matthew Tucker. State your name and address too, please.
Matthew Tucker, 165 South Rock Island, agent for the applicant. Jordan Noon recently, in the last couple of years, acquired this property and intends to make meaningful improvements. After a thorough assessment of the situation, rehabilitating the existing structure would not be financially viable. The home remains vacant since the purchase, and Jordan has been exploring permitting and development options with the city. His goal is to develop the property in a way that aligns with the character of the neighborhood while making use of its potential. The current zoning has created delay in bringing that property back into productive use. There can be arguments made both ways about what you can and can't finance and what's economically feasible, but in today's time, building costs where we're at is something that I question. In response to council feedback from the previous zoning request, the council heard the R3 and turned it down after it was approved by Planning Commission and City Council, with a recommendation instead to request the R2 zoning. Frankly, I agree with that assessment. I agree with the council's assessment of turning down the R3 zoning, which would have allowed for multi-story apartments, higher density, height increases, setbacks reduced, and it wouldn't properly reflect the character of the neighborhood. It's absolutely correct to turn down the R3 and recommend R2 zoning. Under R2 zoning, the site would undergo a review. R2 zoning only allows one additional use from the R1B that it currently has, and that's duplexes. Okay, so we're not asking for some drastic increase in intensity, and this would limit us and not allow apartment complexes as such. Okay, it would ensure compliance with off-street parking standards, improving both functionality and safety for the neighborhood. Historically, the block was platted with 50-foot wide lots, allowing 14 families to front off of Birch in that block. Currently, there are 9 parcels that front on that block, and with the R2 zoning, we would not exceed what was originally platted in that neighborhood back when it was developed. So we're not increasing intensities or putting safety risks related to traffic engineering at play. Housing values in the area have steadily increased, and similar rezonings in the area have not decreased any of the property values. Developing as R2 and with newer structures comes with a fence to address some of the previous neighborhood concerns about trash, accumulation, abandoned vehicles, and blocked alleyways. I'd like to leave you with some quick thoughts. At about 5:45 prior to today's meeting, I took time to observe the area after work hours. In my observations, in 20 minutes that I was there, I saw one car drive down Birch. In driving the adjacent blocks, I noticed all the duplex and multifamily structures had nice yards and well-kept structures. Not a single car was parked on the street in front of the duplexes or multifamily housing areas, and they all used the provided off-street. They all appeared to be mixed family structures, some with child toys in the backyard, some without. The only on-street parking I witnessed in front of any housing structures in this area were single-family owner-occupied properties. The only expired vehicle tags and non-operating vehicles in the area were on front and side yards of single-family.
Excuse me, but I got to cut you off.
I'd just like to say that this highlights the fact that it was pointed out to me by our neighbor communities that the beauty of tenants is that not only do you have the police policing the area, but you have an owner who's obligated to his property, ensuring that the character of the neighborhood is upheld, as well as city regulations. Thank you for your time.
Jordan?
Evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. I'm Jordan Noon, 1468 East Fallbrook, Valley Center, Kansas 67147. So I'm the applicant for the property. This is my second go around for this. The first go around was R3, and I heard from most of my opposing, my opposition and council that R2 would be better fitted. I'm a Valley Center. I grew up here as well. I mean, I don't live on that street, but I graduated from Valley. My kids' T-ball first practice was tonight at the baseball fields. My daughter goes to Miss Beth's piano lessons. We live in Valley. We're from Valley, and I'm not going anywhere. I own property in Valley already. I bought my first rental house in 2016 when my daughter was born. I have the same tenants. My other one's over on Hickory. I have the same tenants. I vet my tenants well. I don't just let anybody move into my houses because I want my property to stay in good condition. I feel like I'm meeting the requirements that were requested from me last time. It was parking, a fence to not have a 2-story. So single story, 2-car garages with ample parking. I intend to put a fence around the property so no exterior parking in the back. These also will be slab on grade, and they will also be compliant with 36-inch wide doorways, 42-inch wide hallways to allow for wheelchair access. So I'm thinking ahead. You know, I'm not. I have no intentions to build these and then automatically stick them on the market and sell them. I intend to build and keep them, make it nice. And most of my referrals that come to me are people that I know. My people in Park are people I went to high school with. My people on Hickory, I know their family. So this is a small town, and your name goes around pretty quickly if you're doing stuff the wrong way. So I understand their issue that they had parking previously. It was not the case. There was off-street parking. There was no driveways. I intend to hopefully help with that by making that better. Other than that, you know, if I did get the zoning tonight, I would plan to probably start construction probably at the end of this year, in within a 4 to 6 month time frame. They'd be up, done, and hopefully starting the leasing process. You know, I don't know what else. If you guys have any questions for me on what I'm doing, I'd be happy to answer anything you may have.
Okay, thank you. Dale?
I got a question for Mr. Fiedler. So this property is one lot, even though in the legal description it says, where'd it go? It had 4.
It lists the lot numbers.
Okay.
So as Mr. Tucker mentioned, when this was originally platted, this was platted into 50-foot wide lots. My assumption is when they went to plat it, this house, the current home there was, I think, built in like 1890.
Yep.
So the original property owner probably bought 3 lots, and their legal description is the lots that they bought.
In order to if they wanted to split this lot, they'd have to go through the planning and zoning board again, correct? Okay, and then that's come in front of us again. Is that correct?
On a lot split, I do not believe that comes before you.
No? Okay. I'm pretty sure everybody knows my opinion of multifamily. It's not very favorable. Even splitting a lot is least favorable. I like that you're going to do 2 duplexes over the 3 or 4 or whatever it was last time. I don't remember. I've slept a few times since then. And I like the 2-car garages. I used to live on 4th, just north of this, so I know how tight this is. And I have a hard time with this one still. So that's my 2 cents.
Robert?
I'm just kind of come up behind Mr. Kirkstetter there with the same simple thoughts. You know, in this city, we are in a different point of growth than we were probably when some of these other properties were approved. And I can't speak to those because I didn't approve them. But we have ample opportunities for multifamily living that are coming online, that are being built, that are in the process of being built, that give us that opportunity to have those type of livings elsewhere other than here in the city. I also agree with the car issue is that these days we have more cars in a single family. Back when these lots were 50-foot lots, usually you only had 1 car in that family. And you usually only had 1 person working in that family. So that's a difference there of just also not so much traffic. I know you talked about traffic, but just the fact that there will be more cars per family, per household. Just for the record, just so that everyone knows, transparency here, Mr. Tucker did reach out to me by email wanting to meet. I have chosen not to. I have my information that I needed for my decision tonight, and anything that he'd like to share, he provided to us. So just letting everyone know that transparency.
Any other discussion? Oh, my phone's in the way. I'm sorry.
I'm here.
Okay.
First of all, I've had the same contact individual, and I was impressed by it. So I contacted him, or he didn't contact me. But today, I drove around there. I was over there about 45 minutes. And everybody seems like there'll be a lot of traffic the whole time I was on the road. 3rd Street, counted 4 cars. On 3rd, 1 car in that period of time. So as far as traffic goes, that does make an impression on me. I went through the backyard, taking a look at the backyard. Somebody had wrote in the summary, it was hard to get through. Yes, it's a small space back here, but a fire truck or an ambulance wouldn't be able to get back through there. So, to me, that's not a negative. I really don't understand what difference a house is going to make on that street. You got some old buildings over there that's more built back in before 1900. They're still up, but they're all still vacant. I was hoping somebody along that street would come out and talk to me. That's one reason why I've spent so much time over there. There was no concern that I can see. I do have one place. A good place. You said that you wanted to put in just beginning with the first time proposal was for a double stacked house.
Yes, sir. It was a fourplex, and it was a story and a half.
Was that with?
It was a 1-car garage. Yes.
Okay. And how far
would I push the unit back? I would meet the setbacks that are required. I'm not sure exactly what the setback is over there. Mr. Tucker would probably know better than me on what I'd have to follow on how far I would be back. I mean, I'm not going to push the properties back any farther than they have to be. Give people backyards and fit. The plan is to fence everything in, and each person would have their own individual backyard.
Okay. So now you want us to approve an R2 for you.
Yes, sir.
So you're basically saying it's going to be a single house?
It's a single building with,
No.
yes, with 2 units, 1 building.
How big?
The units would be, well, the unit would be 65 feet, I think. I don't know exactly. I haven't got that far to actually pick out the plan, because at the moment here is to try to get R2 to find out what I can do. So I haven't spent a ton of money on buying prints and speaking to architects on something that's, may or may not happen.
And you're not planning on conducting business out of those houses?
That house currently, I don't know how much you know about the house. The house has been vacant for quite some time. And the cost that it would take to bring that house up is going to be very expensive. It's 1880s knob and tube wiring, galvanized pipe. The concrete slab is broken inside. It would be astronomical. It'd be like tearing it down and doing new construction again. And just the cost basis to do that does not make sense. It doesn't.
So are you gonna leave it as it is?
If I don't get R2, it'll stay. It'll have to stay because I can't throw 150, 200 grand at that house, and then at that point it doesn't make sense, dollar wise.
Okay, the last time I voted in favor of your project, even with the stacked houses. And I am aiming, there's nobody else speaking, to go ahead with the R2.
Thank you.
But I am still going to back in because we get that path that goes through. I call it path. I don't even call it a driveway or anything because it is. My car just barely missed a hole.
Sure. Yeah, it is tight back there. The trees are kind of overhanging a little bit. I have no intentions to push those properties back to where it interferes with that alleyway.
Your timeline is
If I got my R2 tonight, I would like to be started in the next 6 months. Because it does no good me the property sitting there like it does. It's going to continue to deteriorate.
I want to wait and see if there's anybody else. But right now,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
The talk about traffic, that can be on any block at any hour. I'm out with my neighbors quite a bit. We might have one car come up the road all night. We might have 20 cars the next hour and then another car. I mean, that fluctuates so much. I don't think traffic's a good argument. The street width, I think all the streets are probably the same width. There's sometimes we got cars parked in our block where only one car can get through. You can go on any block right now, and if there's two cars parked across each other, it's going to be narrow. You just have to be careful when you drive. And I'm going to go back to Councilman Bass. I wish he was here. The last one we approved, the last meeting, he said we're picking and choosing who can do it, who can't. And I'm kind of on the fence about this. One of the other complaints before was that they were adamant about the 3-story house or the second level, and he's went to a single level. And I used to deliver Meals to Wheels onto that house, and that place was a disaster. Still a disaster. The city, when I was on the planning commission, numerous violations of vehicles parked in the backyard. It was horrendous. And I myself, if I lived across the street from that, I would rather have even just a duplex across the street than deal with that trash that was there before. I mean, it was hideous. So I'm still on the fence. I'm back and forth. I'm listening to some more stuff.
This is a difficult decision. Going from an R1B to an R2 would allow a duplex on this 150-foot lot, correct?
That is correct.
However, if he asks for a lot split and that goes to planning and zoning, it doesn't come back to us, correct?
Correct.
Then he could put 2 or possibly 3, but probably 2 duplexes.
It would depend on the size of structure he picks. So if tonight I'll address the question, but we are just looking at the R2 zone tonight. If he did a lot split, it would go to planning and zoning. It would have to meet our subdivision regulations. It would have to meet the lot restrictions. So we would look at that as staff. Planning and zoning would look at that as well and see if it would fit. Depending on the building that he picks to put on the property, he might not have room to do 2. It would depend on what structure he picks. And then I just to address, so in setbacks in general, whatever he puts on this property, we already have the zoning regulations require front yard setback, side and rear yard, so it wouldn't be able to go all the way to the back of the property. There would have to be a minimum setback off the rear line, minimum from the street or from the front property line, and minimum from the side lot lines. And if a lot split was approved, there would be a minimum off of that new created line. So again, we're not considering lot split tonight, we're considering R2 zoning for the lot as it sits today.
Okay, let me clear this up, because he's made a lot of concessions as council asked him to do. They're just approving the R2 zone.
Correct.
What he wants to do with that property after that fact, with these designs and all that, that has to go through planning commission again, or just you guys?
So building plans only go through the community development department. We make sure that it meets all of our setback requirements. We do not have design standards in this neighborhood, so that we don't have to worry. We don't review it for what the facade looks like necessarily, as long as it's underneath the structure height, the bedrooms meet code requirements, things like that. We review the building plans and if it'll meet our setback requirements. If there is a future application for a lot split, that will go before planning and zoning.
And he's got, I liked his idea about single floor, basically senior living, which is needed around this town very bad, whether official or unofficial. Just want to clarify that. Although I would like to see a safer. I can't make anybody do that, but man, these duplexes need to have safe rooms in them. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Any further discussion with the council?
Yeah, another public comment, if we want to do it, address it.
I think we've heard enough from the public today, tonight. Oh, you got a motion from the council?
Motion to approve for first reading ordinance 1424-25 to rezone 328 North Birch from 1RB to R2.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance 1424-25 for rezone for first reading. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. 3-2, passed. For first reading, correct. Okay, moving on to ordinance number 1425-25, rezone property of north of the rec center.
All right, good evening again. This parcel is city-owned, northeast of the rec center. It's located at the future intersection of Emporia and Northwind Drive, as we've been kind of talking about that development this evening. So hopefully you're aware of that area. And if you could scroll, thank you, Clint, if you could scroll down just to show that there we go. When we platted this originally, we went ahead and zoned the lots when we did the plat. This lot specifically was zoned C2, which is General Business District. It abuts to the north and to the east. It abuts R2 zoned lots. The city is seeking to rezone this from C2 to R3, which is multifamily housing, as we feel that R3 would be a better fit. It allows multifamily housing, duplexes, single-family housing, which could be a planned unit development potentially, on this lot instead of a commercial business operation, which could be lots of things. We felt that the lot would fit better as R3. As the city markets this property, as we do own this property, we do hope to locate some sort of additional housing on this property. Our comp plan wants us to, or addresses that we need more and diverse housing. As just mentioned by the mayor, we need more senior living housing. So R3 could allow for a nursing home or a senior living facility potentially on this property. So that's what the rezone would be for. We did publish notice in the Ark Valley News before the planning and zoning hearing and sent letters to the surrounding property owners. We did not receive any opposition, and it did receive a favorable recommendation from planning and zoning to approve the rezone. I also recommend approval of the first reading, and will stand for any questions you have.
What is that property outside that red line? Yeah.
The one that's kind of diagonal to it, that's where one of the detention ponds is going to be. And so the rec center, where the cursor is there, the rec center is right to the north a little bit more on that larger lot. And then the city owns the next lot to the north, and then the detention pond is between everything. One of the detention ponds is between everything.
No,
Yeah,
single housing residence on the around it on two sides.
Correct. So it's zoned R2, so it could be single family or duplex in that area.
Down. Or Robert, I mean, I don't know which one's which.
Robert, go first.
I am torn on this. I feel like that this area should stay in the same zoning as what kind of butts up to it. I guess I'm trying to understand why the flexibility. Why do we need that flexibility of an R3 when it's got R2 butted up against the north and east side, and then of course C2 on the west, which that's understandable. That faces the main drive. That to me makes sense, but I don't see the reasoning for needing to change this R3.
So as mentioned, potentially, trying to locate some sort of housing, for instance, a nursing or a senior living facility is not allowed in R1 or 2. It is allowed in R3 under special use. So even under R3, there are still additional layers to approve certain types of housing and facilities. So they could, if it's R3, just as the R2 and the rest of the area allows for two family or single family, R3 would allow for two family or single family as well. It could allow for a planned unit development. So potentially if someone wanted to build 50 single family homes or, something of that nature on this property, if they'd fit, they could. But R3 would allow some more flexibility in how the property could be developed. And again, our thought is if you put a commercial, you could put a strip mall right there, and you could then surround the homes with commercial development, where this lot being adjacent to other residential lots would be a good kind of buffer going from R2 to R3, and then you have commercial behind it across the pond. So kind of giving
How many acres is that?
Sorry, say that again.
How many acres is that?
6 acres.
It's what?
6 acres.
Well, I was just thinking if a senior housing company came in, that'd be about the minimum amount they'd want. If they put independent and assisted. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, we got a whole bunch of them. Damn.
All right, so I just want to clarify. Can you scroll up a little bit so I can see 93rd Street? There we go. Okay. So every one of those lots right now is R2, or any of them?
They are all R2.
Okay. I'm with Mr. Wilson on this one. I don't think we should go R3. I think we should, honestly, I just would rather all be single family, but you know my opinion on that one. But R3, I think we're getting enough multifamily lots, and an R2 would be a multifamily duplex, so it would be kind of a cohesive to that area. Random question. Apartment complexes, is that R4?
No, R3 could be it would be R3 for apartment complexes.
Yeah, I definitely know that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm for this. There's nothing built out there yet. There's no houses. You've got other owners that built the house, then all of a sudden it's rezoned to this. And in C2, what kind of business can come in there now? Dollar General, gas station?
C2 is not our most open, but it's one of the most open zoning districts. So in C2, yes, you could put a Dollar General, gas station, strip center, with fast food restaurants, about pretty much anything along Meridian from Main Street south, C2. And so any of those businesses could go on that lot as it's currently zoned.
If I live there, I'd rather have a complex or senior housing across the street 3 or behind me versus the commercial business. Like you said, create a buffer. And these are going to be duplexes. People are probably going to buy them. They're going to rent them. They're not going to live there.
Okay, I want to play devil's advocate one more time. Is it easier to push 6 acres of property to a senior living facility if it's already zoned for it?
In my opinion, yes, because they know for sure that
zone something else and they got to go through the process to get it rezoned.
Correct. They more than likely, if they know it's zoned appropriately, they will enter into contracts quicker on the property versus they might be more reserved if they have to go through planning and zoning.
I'm thinking with all this property we've got, we need to start thinking out of the box a little bit. I'm looking for the sales pitch. Ron,
I'm in favor of what you're talking about, Mayor. In that area. How they call it? There are single houses out there. Or put it 2-story. That would give them close to rec center. And also have the potential of getting involved in school programs. There's a lot of things that would be beneficial by having. So, help. Over anywhere else you hear about right now. I think they sunflower is good, what you have now. For new stuff. I'd rather see something over here.
anybody else?
Would just like to comment. This is unique because the city does own property and control the property. So if you approve rezoning this evening for first reading, and it finally, officially gets approved at the second reading, the city has the control to sell this property. So if the city is concerned about what's going to go on it in R3, the council is the one that makes the decision as to who it's sold to.
Any further comments or questions?
Make a motion to approve for first reading ordinance 1425-25 to rezone a city-owned parcel of land northeast of Rec Center from C2 to R3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 1425-25, rezone a property north of the Rec Center. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the approval of the contract for the abatement mowing services.
All right, good evening again. This is, okay, sorry, I was rereading that wrong. This is a renewal. Last year we went out for bid and Done Right Lawn Care was the winning bidder to do our mowing abatement for nuisance properties. In that agreement, we had the right as a city to extend the agreement without going back out for RFP. In conversations with Done Right Lawn Care, they have agreed to continue providing services to the city for the same cost as last year, so no additional cost for their mowing services. One thing that's different with the mowing abatement or the abatement mowing than what you approved last meeting with the Parks Group is the bill for this is billed to the property owner. So the city does pay the bill up front, and then we invoice the property owner. They either pay it directly to us, or if they do not pay their bill, we assess it to the property via special assessment. So at some point, the city does recoup the expenses on this. So I wanted to highlight that as a difference for this mowing contract versus what you looked at a couple of weeks ago. Staff does recommend approval of the extension, and I will stand for any questions.
Yeah.
2 questions. One is, what was the contract amount last, or what does it cost per lawn?
It
If it
depends.
was in there, I apologize. And if you don't know, that's fine. Second question is, how many more years can we extend this? Is this the last year? Do we have another one, or?
So the original, I apologize. I thought I had the attachment in here for their charges, but it varies based on the size and how bad it is. I believe that the least expensive is $75.
Okay,
if I remember correctly.
That's good enough.
And then as far as renewal, the original RFP last year did not state that we could only renew it so many times.
Okay.
In this renewal agreement, it does again have the exact same language that the city has the right to renew again. And it looks like Mr. Clark would like to speak.
Yeah. Well, just because Mr. Feeler wasn't here when this all happened. And so it depends upon the issue and the nuisance at each property. It varies. And so, but that has to be pre-approved prior to them actually executing and doing the work. And so that gets approved by the city first. If you recall, we had a hard time finding anybody to even bid on this because most of the lawn care companies don't want to put their equipment on those properties, because sometimes you find things that aren't as easy to be found until you start cutting the grass and things get tangled up in their mowers and what have you. So just wanted to kind of clarify that each one is approved prior to actually executing if it's more than $75.
More curious of
Just
like
so you know.
minimum charge is what I was more curious about.
Matt?
Roughly plus or minus, how many do we have in a year?
It varies. I know. I don't want to give a number to because I'm not positive. I do know that like this week alone, we've already had 6 complaints of tall yards. So whether or not those are coming to compliance in their 14 days, we'll find out. But the calls are coming in already. So we need to get something in place so that we can make sure that we have a contractor ready to go.
How many of those properties are the ones that are affected by the ordinance change to the right of way?
So far, none of those.
Okay.
Those ones, I will say those ones.
Are we giving them a little bit more leeway?
We have been talking as staff about, we know it's going to be an education period. So staff have been learning what is theirs to mow, and then my staff have been going through which ones they need to have conversations with. But none of the ones currently that have been sent notices for mowing are from that right of way. They're all ones that were already required to mow.
And they do good work. I hired him last year to, what I basically want to say, eliminate going through the city. And they did a great job. And it came out of my pocket. It's pretty reasonable. And we have one in my neighborhood that it's a vacant house. You guys know every twice a year, I think. Send them a bill. I think that's getting kind of old. We need to look into that. But yeah, they do a good job when they do it.
Motion to approve contract extension with Done Right Lawn Care LLC for abatement mowing services.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the contract abatement mowing services. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the approval of the proposal for the website and municipal code.
Alrighty, good evening
So
again.
you're a popular guy today.
I know, I'm just standing up here the whole evening.
All right.
Our finance director, Clint, is the one that I think originally maybe told you guys about how our website was increasing in expenses. I think he told you that maybe last fall, early winter. And so it started us looking at a new website provider potentially. Clint originally did a review of multiple companies, and then I this spring have done a kind of a second review before we made a recommendation to the city council. Just to kind of give you a highlight beyond the memo that I had, we had calls out to several companies, but the ones that we actually reviewed was about 4 companies that we went in depth with full hour length, if not longer, demos of what all their sites included. I did, because I felt that a website is a long-term commitment. It's not okay, well, we're going to pick this website this year and we're going to pick this website next year. I put the numbers in 5-year estimates just to kind of give you an overall picture of what we're looking at. Currently, our contract was for about $26,000 with a 7% annual increase. And the companies that we looked at, the cheapest one, and that was $26,000 for 1 year. The cheapest company that we looked at for their 5-year total was just under $14,000. The most expensive for a 5-year total was just over $41,000. So, in general, the companies that we really looked at are going to be a savings to the city. But we really narrowed it down to what functions do we currently have, what functions can we do without, and what is going to give us a site that is easily navigable for residents, because we want it to be somewhere where our residents can find the information, where staff can post. Christy, all of our agendas go on our website, our minutes, our RFPs go out through the website. So we tried to look at all of the functionality of our website and compare these other companies to that. I also looked at other cities. On all of them, I looked at who else is using them, but I looked at who around here is using them to kind of see cities that maybe have similar circumstances to us, and kind of like to see that, especially this one that we're recommending has a lot of cities in Kansas. Without going into tons and tons of detail of the full review, we are recommending, well, for the website piece, we are recommending going with Revise. This website company is completely customizable. Some of the next cheapest, or the cheapest option, this is one option up in expense. The cheapest option was a template website. Every single website I went to looked exactly the same. Not saying that won't work for us. They do focus on governments, and they do have functionality that we need. But looking at Revise, they have a little more customization, and a few more applications that they allow through their services that we would have that Munibit did not. The other piece to this is through Civic Plus, our current provider, we also have our code library through them. We did look at other code libraries as well, and Branson City Code and General Code were the two options that we looked at. General Code was the cheaper of the two over the 5-year period. Cities in Kansas use both of those companies, so I feel like they will serve us well with our municipal code, and I recommend approval of both Revise and General Code for our website and codification services. I will stand for any questions.
Yeah. I think I know the answer to this, but so our website was recently changed to .gov. Your examples are all .org except for one's .com. That's not going to be a problem, right?
It's not.
We own that. We basically own that address, right?
Correct. And we are, we're kind of an early, like municipalities are across the board. I've seen .gov, .com. I think some still have .net. But when Clint started looking into this, that's when he found out about the federal requirement to move city websites to .gov to make them more secure.
Okay.
And the review process that he had to go through to get us officially a .gov, I was kind of strenuous because he actually had to have a phone call with someone from the federal government to verify who we were to get approved to be a .gov. We couldn't just sign up for it. So our domain will remain the same. So we will still be the same address with whomever we go to host our site.
You mentioned security. It's going to be just more secure than we need it to be. Is that accurate?
From my reviews, yes. Several of our things that have our sensitive information will more than likely stay with our current parties that are hosting them. So, for instance, our payment processing will not switch. They will embed the link to this website that'll take you to our current credit card processor, and things like that. So there's certain pieces that aren't changing. They will just come over into this website. And I did not mention, it wasn't necessarily your question, but made me think of it, was ADA accessibility. Currently, I think by our city of our size, I believe is required by 2027. Does that sound right? To be ADA compliant. With us changing, we would be ADA compliant earlier than what we're required to be.
And I like the savings over the 5-year period. Robert.
So, Kyle, you don't mention in the recommendation, are we looking at option 1 or option 2 on their payment plan with Revise?
Clint and I did discuss that today, and his recommendation was to go with option 1, just to go ahead and take the larger chunk now, because we know we're saving this year, and going forward for future budget years, we have a lesser amount to budget for. And so his recommendation, I don't want to speak for him, but his recommendation was to go ahead and do payment option 1, pay for the building this year, and then pay the lower fee the next 4 years.
And that is a set fee for the next 4 years after that initial payment, correct? So we're not seeing any price increase. So, how about general code? Are we seeing that? Is there something built in there, contract for an annual increase?
So on these, they did not give us contract yet. I was told there would not be an annual increase. Once we get the contract, that's something that we would have to verify before it officially be executed.
I was going to say, if there's not, that needs to be built into the contract. I would. My recommendation is 3% or less on an annual increase, or CPI, whichever is less. That's up to you as to negotiating that. But
and the only thing I would say,
that 7% is outrageous.
The only thing I would say on the codification is, if we for some reason have so many new ordinances a year, there could be price increase because we're increasing the demand of their services. I do not know the exact number that they are within their realm, but if we increase the demand, the cost potentially could go up.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kyle.
Any other questions or comments? Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve quotes from Revise for website services and general code for codification services, and authorize mayor or city administrator to execute agreements.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the proposal for the website and municipal code. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda that's presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to staff reports. Who's first on the list? Kyle? Yep, Kyle.
You need to sit
Okay.
down.
I was getting ready to. And I was like, I might as well stay standing. Clint, do you have that link that I emailed you earlier today of handy? So we can always send it out to you, but I've mentioned to you a couple meetings ago that the flood maps are being reviewed. We had public open houses on those. One of my questions for them was, why is Valley Center's flood maps not changing? The short answer is because I was a pain. They added a star on the map. So if every letter map amendment, letter map revision that is in Sedgwick County is now listed on their draft maps it's signified by a star. So if you're questioning whether or not your property, if the property is still showing in the floodplain, the star will denote that there is a letter map amendment, letter map revision that is approved, that is for that property. When you click on that star, it'll highlight the parcel or parcels that star covers. And you can go in and view, you can view the document, but it gives you the document number, and you can find that on FEMA's website. So the maps are moving forward. Valley Center is not seeing any increase in the floodplain. We are not seeing any decrease in the floodplain. Basically, will remain the same within the city limits. There is some areas outside of the city limits that have slight increases and decreases. But for the most part, so you see all those little green speckles, that's probably because I was a pain in their butt. But so those stars, like I said, denote the letters of map or amendment or letters of map change. All of the yellow that you're seeing on the map shows that the floodplain is staying the same. Anywhere you see green or red striped lines like that, that's where the floodplain is added. Green or red is removed. So I wanted you to just make you be aware that the maps are not changing for us, but they do denote on them where we're having approved fill or complete removal, so that people can understand when they go to look at flood maps what is being shown for them. Do you have any questions on that? Okay.
Robert? So is that a viable document then for them to take to their insurance company for flood insurance?
Yes. Okay. So yes, this is still, it's not 100% officially approved. They've done the public comment period. There's still probably going to be some few slight changes before it officially gets accepted by FEMA as our new flood maps. But this will help, because that was my concern. I said, well, we're selling a ton of houses in Valley Center. And I said, how are people going to know? This helps. I also have, to my knowledge, I have on file now every letter map revision for fill. So all of the dirt work that we've been doing, I have every one of those on file in my office. So I have provided those to people now that have bought houses. So if they, hopefully they can use this, but if not, they can call my office and I can get them a copy to provide to their bank and their insurance.
Yeah, I'm disappointed it didn't change because with the Meridian project and that big pond, I mean, that was took a lot of flooding out of that area of town. For not to change that, I'm sorry, that sucks.
I was a little irritated every time they sent it, and like it didn't change. And like I said, the stars is what they came up with as I think the solution. The only other thing I had, unless Mrs. Gregory wants to say, you want to talk about farmers market, or do you want me to? Okay. Last time I stole your thunder, I think, so I wanted to make sure I asked. Oh, sorry, Mayor. Well, next time I need to coordinate who's going to talk about this. I feel like we had a very successful first farmers market last week. We had, I believe, 16 vendors and 2 food trucks. We had round 1 of the piano recital. They're coming back for an encore next week. And we've got, I think we have 19 total vendors signed up for the season. And I think the next market you'll see most of the rest of them that you did not see last week. So, thank you very much. Deal.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Just a brief update on the Meridian project that was mentioned earlier this evening. Earlier this week, Mr. Clark and I met with our sign folks that are working on the welcome sign down there at the roundabout at 69th Meridian. A very good, productive on-site meeting. They're getting ready to kick off. They wanted some final overview of the site and to look it over prior to starting the construction process and just go through those details of exactly where it's going to be placed within that roundabout. So just wanted to update you on that. Then for any questions.
Thank you, Neil. Lloyd.
Thank you.
No more engineering. Barry.
That Rodney did have a report in the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. Barry. Clint. Christie.
I did.
Wow. Brett.
Yes, you can.
Yes, I can. The Timberwolves meeting is on, and there's no comment from the audience. And so I did talk with Blake today, and so they are Blake from the rec center. I'm going to get off by a little bit, but they're 800. I want to say 892 memberships at the rec center. And so that equates out to just under 2,000 people. It's like 1,900 and some odd folks. And so people are using the new complex in the rec center. So if you have anything or any questions, let me know. I saw Dale reach for his button. Anything, Dale?
Yeah. What's the breakdown in like family versus single? Like how many families versus single people are?
Yes, sir.
Have memberships. All right.
Yeah.
You can ask Blake.
So, no, I mean, I don't have that full report. We do have, of course, our staff one that we have that Krista receives monthly to make sure that our staff has milestones and benchmarks in order to keep receiving that benefit from our wellness program. And so, ours is very heavy on the family side. If you think about, that many memberships and then how many people that are, I mean, then that would equate to a lot more family memberships than single family, or single members. But I don't have the breakdown, but I can absolutely have Blake come and present, to you as well. I know he'll be at the next meeting with the pool use agreement that we have with the swim committee. Team, there you go, not team, swim club. We have a team and a club, not the same. And so with the swim club coming up, and so I'll see if Blake can have some information for you as well when he's here next meeting. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you.
Okay, moving on to governing body reports. I have a thank you from the library. I want to read it. We, the Valley Center Historical Museum, would like to thank you so much for a generous donation of $3,000 to help us get new windows for the house. There are 24 windows that need to be replaced. Thank you for your support. It's signed by the library board.
Historical board?
Historical. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Been a long night.
You're right.
And I'm not going to steal any Genius thunder, but we have a meeting Saturday morning in Park City. Ron?
Yeah, I have something. Since this is a long meeting, I'm going to be real fast about it. But Chief, you got some new laws as of today. 14 strange laws you only hear about in Kansas. One, it's illegal to serve ice cream on cherry pie in Kansas. You got to enforce that one. No screeching your tires in Derby. Who cares? Rabbits may not be shot on from the motorboats. It's illegal to throw knives at men wearing striped suits in Tanya. Mules must not be housed within the city limits or wearing a belt. You may not hit a vending machine. That'll take your money. It's illegal to catch fish with your bare hands. I hope you got a fishing boat to keep at it correct.
We have officer
Can't-
discretion.
You can't snowball fight it. Selling liquor for glass was once banned, and it still is in some counties. It's illegal to hunt whales in Kansas. Well, I'd like you to see it. It's against the law to hit a police dog, even verbally. Restaurants cannot sell cherry pies with ice cream on Sunday. Minors cannot buy cap pistols in some towns. In the small towns.
And that's what happens when Facebook turns off this trustworthy process.
Robert?
I can't follow that up in any way, nor am I going to steal any more of Gina's thunder. So I have nothing, Mayor.
Gina?
I don't need to make any announcements tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Mr. Fiedler, Mr. Clark, I believe Mr. Wilson asked for this a while back, the percentage or breakdown of single family versus multifamily. I haven't heard it, but I know I've missed some meetings, so I'm just curious what it is. And please include the new developments, and not tonight. Tonight's been too long. Unless you want me to call you when I leave my house. I guarantee you don't want me to. That's all I got.
Matt?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.